For the 1 millionth time, we'll say it. Arsenal need a striker, and there are plenty of players out there on the market. But if I showed you this, a player with 19 goals in 37 Premier League games, a player with 8 assists as well in that time, that's 19 goals and 9 assists across 41 games in all competitions. If I showed you that player who's playing in English football in the Premier League right now, why wouldn't we sign him? Especially when he's a player who can play up front, who has played up front. But of course, we're talking about Bryan Mbeumo, who's predominantly a winger. Now, these links came out across the last few days, really, and Team News and Ticks is very much at the heart of it all. Team News and Ticks, who's very on it with the Declan Rice saga and many other transfer updates, had this to say very recently that Arsenal are in talks for Mbeumo. Talks are progressing, but Arsenal are not the only club in the race. I'm not that surprised because apparently there's 1 year left on Bryan Mbeumo's contract. We know Man United have been linked. I think this is a top player who's waiting to make the big move and the big jump and show everyone what he can do at the elite level of football. And I'm just not surprised that other clubs are having a look. But this is not the first time we've been linked with him, because since that report from Team News and Ticks, Dean Jones has said that Arsenal have an active interest in signing Bryan Mbeumo this summer, according to Give Me Sports sources. Arsenal particularly attracted to Mbeumo, valued at 60 million due to promising underlying performance data and his versatility, similar to some stuff that Team News and Ticks said even a year ago on the way Arsenal's data department looked at Bryan Mbeumo. This from Alex Crook on October 30th. In 2024, said that Arsenal, one of the clubs interested in Mbeumo, and that Brentford want £50 million. And Florian Plettenberg said more recently on January the 8th that he understands that Bryan Mbeumo is on Arsenal's shortlist for potential summer transfers, and the Gunners are looking to strengthen their wing option. Brentford star player is under contract till 2026, and some other data there. Now, he says there is very much seen as a wing option. Now, at this point, I think Waneri had played that much football out on the right, and the feeling was that maybe Ethan was going to be more of a central player. As a winger, okay, competition with Saka. Saka's never going to lose his place, but you know what I mean. Give Saka a rest. Maybe he can be playing in other areas. It seems a lot of money when we need to address the wing position from a starter perspective, and that space is out on the left. When you look here, he has played 6 games in his career as a left winger. Okay, maybe 9 in total if you include the 3 from left midfield. But this is someone who operates on the right wing and in central spaces, but has played plenty of times as either a second striker or a striker. But the majority of his football has been played on the right. Now, just quickly on whether he could be the left wing answer. I think the way I'd interpret this is, if you've got a player who's class on one wing, I think you can rightly accept, and I mean class, like his numbers are brilliant. He's been doing brilliantly for Brentford in the Premier League. I think you should expect those skills to be transferable to the left. Some are much more set in what they do. I mean, if we're to use our own player as an example, Martinelli, he's better on the left than he is on the right, but I don't think he's an elite left winger, how I felt about him 2 years ago. I mean, maybe that was a level I thought he could get to. I don't think that now. I think Mbeumo's better, and I think, therefore, maybe that skill set should be more transferable. But at the same time, I look at Mbeumo and go, okay, like Mane moved from the right to the left for Liverpool because Mo Salah arrived, and that transition was fine. There's something about Mbeumo's kind of strengths and his overall profile that make me think he's not the left-footed left winger that I would think is the right fit, even though I think he could still be quality out there because he's quality on the right. So all this stuff basically just makes me go, very good player. I'd really like to have him at Arsenal, but I don't actually think left wing's the answer. But what if he was our starting striker? What if he was the false 9? Because when I look at some of his key attributes, I'm not really sure what he couldn't answer in that position for us. He's versatile, moves across the front 3, and Arsenal's best front 3 under Mikel Arteta was when Gabby Jesus was interchangeable with Martinelli and Saka, and the 3 were just constantly rotating in and out of positions. Bryan Mbeumo allows you to do that because of his versatility and quality to play across the front 3. His weak foot is brilliant. Seen him score some great goals with his right foot, really hammer it with his right foot at times, and actually just take shots at goal when he's got that sight in front of him. His strength, he's a very strong player, uses his body well. No, he's not 6'2". No, he's not that kind of dominant, target man of a centre forward. But does that mean he can't use his body to pin defenders and be someone to play off? His strength is superb. He's got pace. He can make those runs in behind. We saw when Martinelli went up front against Liverpool that it gave us an outlet. It gave us another way to try and attack Liverpool. I think Bryan Mbeumo would give us that too. And he's got a range of goals in him, whether it be tap-ins at the back post, whether it be runs in behind, whether it be just smashing the ball at first sight from outside the box. Bryan Mbeumo can score a range of goals. When I look at that, I think you need match-winning quality, you need versatility, you need someone who's able to stretch a back four. Bryan Mbeumo can do all those things. Now, that's just me giving you the key attributes I see on the eye. I know I'm not coming with a lot of data. We'll do the data thing in a sec. But why could he not bring all those things, not even in the false 9 role, but just as a 9? Why not? Let's talk about Dembele as a false 9. These are the positions he picked up against Arsenal. You can see from his heat map, yes, the false 9 caused us loads of problems drifting into wider areas. I don't really see why Mbeumo couldn't do a similar thing and actually be quite suited to us for it. Let's talk about how that could look on the tactical pad. So as you can see here, we've got Mbeumo as the false 9, and we want to talk about some of our build-up shapes. We know that Arsenal sometimes will build up like this, and they'll split the fullbacks. That's something we did more in the 23-24 season. I think with Zubimendi coming in alongside Rice, we might see a little bit more of that like we did with Rice and Jorginho. I also think there's every chance you see a little bit of this, because Rice, and especially Marino, with having played up front and predominantly being left 8, they get really high up the pitch. And we tend to remove Rice a little bit from build-up, and Ødegaard can drop in. And we know the usual, which is bringing Lewis Skelly into midfield too. And I think when you look at these various shapes, I think Mbeumo, he's suited to the role of when it was a 4-2-4, dropping into midfield. He's used to pulling out wide so Rice can sort of move forward, and Ødegaard's going to drop into this space and he hugs that kind of right half space. There's kind of lots of different variations. We know that, what did Arteta say, that there's kind of 63 different formations. Right? We know Arsenal do a lot of different things, but in the way we try to build up, I don't really think there's anything there that we do that Mbeumo wouldn't be suited to from the 9 position. Sometimes we go long if we just give a ball to David Raya. How often do we target the channels and go long to Bukayo Saka, to Bryan Mbeumo? I think he could do well there. He's pretty good in the air. Some of these stats here show that 0.92 aerials 1 per 90. He ranks in the top 23% of players in the league in terms of aerials 1 per 90. As you can see, the percentage of aerials 1 goes down a little bit, but we're just going to move past that a little bit. The point is, he's someone that you can maybe look to in that way, even if he isn't Kai Havertz's 6'4" frame. And I want to talk about him facilitating the right too, because if we go back to the tactical power, when you look at him in this area of the pitch, and let's just give Arsenal a little bit more of a shit. So Declan Rice is sort of bombing forward. Lewis Skelly's popped into midfield. You've got Ødegaard deeper in build-up. He is someone who could drift out to this right-hand side, not only to support Saka, but to allow Saka to take up more central spaces. I think we saw Bukayo Saka against Newcastle the other day moving into much more central areas. A lot of that was to get the right back, which was Ben White, on the overlap. But I also wonder whether we're going to see it to get someone like Mbeumo out on that side, because as you can see from this heat map here, Kai Havertz, who is predominantly Arsenal's starting striker, has played as a starting striker for a lot of the season. He drifts out to the right a lot, like I said, to win headers, to help him build up, and to actually be the area of the pitch that Arsenal want to play through, and him be at the kind of heart of it. Again, whether we're going over a team, whether we're going through a team. Now look, some of that is skewed, admittedly, by the fact that Martin Ødegaard was out, and Kai Havertz, with the tweak of role, meant that he was drifting out to that area, and Trossard was playing in more central spaces. But Kai Havertz does have a bias towards moving towards that right-hand side, and the heat map for the whole season kind of shows it. I think Bryan Mbeumo, ultimately, when you're talking about someone who prefers to play out on that right side of the pitch, but also more central spaces, I don't think he's an out-and-out touchline wing. I think he is someone who works really well on the right, but tucking inside. The reality is he'll kind of pop up in those spaces for Arsenal anyway, and you've kind of got this two-pronged attack of Mbeumo and Saka on that side, and then the key is getting something of a touchline winger out on the left-hand side who's good with less support, beating fullbacks, and then can have the likes of Declan Rice and Mikel Merino bombing forward, or maybe even another number 10, because as I've been saying, I think we need that too. So when I look at Bryan Mbeumo as a potential false 9 striker, whatever it is, a central player, the middleman of that front 3, I think he's suited to it. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, James, you're just enabling the club to go for a market opportunity. They should be going for a Gyökeres or a Seska or a Watkins, someone who guarantees you goals. I think the goals thing we can put aside, and Mbeumo scores goals. We don't really have to have that discussion, but maybe you want a little bit more, and maybe you want more of a guarantee in your Gyökeres, and that's fine. Let's not say Mbeumo doesn't score goals. But it's not that I think this is the route Arsenal should go down. It's just a route that I'm not going to immediately slate and go, no, this is a terrible idea. And if he's brought in a left winger, I weirdly have more doubts over that than I do of him as a striker. But the point is, sometimes there's a market opportunity, and while Arsenal need to go do all the bits and bobs they have to do, sometimes there's just a quality player on the market. When PSG signed Kvaratskhelia, they had Doué, they had Barcola on fire, may I say, they had Dembele, they had Gonzalo Ramos, they had Asensio, but they then loaned him out, and they brought in Kvaratskhelia because it was too good to miss out on, to the point of dropping their most informed forward at that time in Barcola to get Kvaratskhelia in there. Sometimes there's top forwards and you just got to bring them in. I think Bryan Mbeumo could be one of them. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Could he be a starting striker for Arsenal? Could our football play through him through the middle a little bit better with him? Could he give us that magic quality? And could he just be a really, really good fit at 50, 60 million pounds? Someone who can unlock our attack in a different way to maybe some of these other targets who are of a different profile. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Love to know your thoughts. Subscribe to the Goonerverse and Goonerverse 2, and we'll catch you very soon.